yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. I am Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that I was with in person to see the DeMar DeRozan trade, and that, of course, is Austin.
Yeah, we have a friend who disagrees, I think, a little bit on how this trade affects the Sacramento Kings and what their team will now look like, but very interesting move. I'm excited to see how he looks like in Sacramento, but I do think there's some inherent issues regarding this move and what it means for the Kings.
Yeah, I know your biggest issue is shooting, and I know, DeMar DeRozan doesn't really shoot three-pointers. I am curious because I figured they were trading Harrison Barnes, in which they inevitably did because of the cap room and stuff. But I am curious, so is DeMar just going to take the place of Harrison Barnes?
No, and also Harrison Barnes, Kevin, could shoot really well. For his career, he's a 38% shooter. Last year on 5 attempts per game, shot 39%. He can't be Harrison Barnes. He's a lot better than Barnes in a lot of other aspects, almost every other aspect. But if you're saying just stand in the corner and shoot, that's the exact opposite of DeMar. DeMar can do basically everything else besides that.
But yeah, but he's going to take the starting spot.
But that doesn't mean he's taking.
Yeah.
They're not the same player at all.
They're not the same. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what this offense looks like for the Kings. I'm pretty surprised also the Kings, this is their biggest free agent move like ever. I saw tweets about that. I think even like Kings, like the admin accounts tweeted that.
For their biggest move to be a almost 35-year-old DeMar DeRozan, I don't think it's all that impressive. I do think DeMar is still a really good player, but again, he does not stretch the floor. His best three-point shooting season ever was 35% on 1.9 threes, but that happened one time. For his career, he's under 30%. Then you also have, obviously, Sabonis. Sabonis is shot well last year on 1.1 attempts, but he doesn't take that many threes. He really can't shoot all that well. And then Fox, he did have a great year last year shooting, per his standards, 36.9%. That still is not great. But for his career, shoots 33%. They have multiple guys. No one shoots about 33% for their career. I'm not confident that Fox has found this new shooting, or I would have to see more than 1 year, Kevin, to be sold on his ability to shoot the ball consistently. If we go just the year before last year, he shot 32.4%. The year before that, 29.7%. So while he is definitely a better shooter now than he was then, I'm not confident to say he's better than 35% consistently. We'll have to see if that's the case. I do like the Kings as a team. Otherwise, besides those three main guys, I do think that Keegan is a good shooter. I think Keegan is really growing into a great player, but he did only shoot 35.8% last year from three, which isn't remarkable. Then you have a guy like Keon Ellis, one of my favorite players in the league. He shot 42% from three. He only averaged 5 points per game, but I really do expect him probably to start over Herter. Herter really struggled last year. Maybe he can get back into it after his shoulder surgery, but he only shot 36%. I do really like Malik Monk. I think he's the best sixth man in the league. But they just have some inherent shooting issues that I don't know if they can be fixed. Kevin, last year they were 16th in three-point percentage, but they're losing a guy like Barnes who shot 5 threes a game at 38.7%. They're losing Davion Mitchell, who wasn't great, but still shot 36% from three. Vasenkov shot 37.5%. He's gone. So there are guys that are leaving that were shooters, contributor to that high percentage. And I just don't know if DeMar is good enough shooting wise or spacing wise to allow that. I think Fox and DeMar, the threes they do hit, are created. They aren't necessarily stand and shoot. They're not Clay threes or more Luka threes, for the example. Luka doesn't make many standing 3-pointers. It's mostly moving. So I do think their offense is going to be a little bit constricted, and teams are going to shy away from really pressing on the perimeter. And that's going to stop Fox or DeMar, who's really good at driving and mid-range. It's going to make it harder for them to get open to shoot those.
Yeah, those are all good points. And we've talked about the negatives. I'm just trying to think of a positive. It was a down year after such an incredible season for the Kings 2 years ago. And they, of course, missed the playoffs. This move feels like to me a name move. Like, oh, we got DeMar DeRozan instead of we got a player.
Well, DeMar's good.
Yeah.
It's not the team. I guess for the Kings case, it is a name move, but for a lot of other teams, I think it actually could have been a profitable move.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's just for the Kings, I don't really understand how it works out for them. What is the goal in getting him?
To win games, they're trying to just throw points onto the table and say, we are going to get this many points on paper next year, instead of how are we going to get those points? And that's where it really comes down to De'Aaron Fox and DeMar are going to be fighting for the same type of buckets. I do think that their team is better than last year. I think that even though they don't have shooting, I still think that they're probably a top 7 seed. It's just I don't see them being a 5 seed, which I feel like if DeMar had gone to a team that maybe was more conducive to his play style, could have been. And I mainly say he's better because Barnes really struggled defensively last year, and I don't think DeMar's going to be as poor defensively. Also, DeMar and De'Aaron Fox may be the best clutch duo in the NBA. If we're just looking at tough shots that they hit at the end of games. So I think that they are still a better team. Keon Ellis is going to have to grow as a player. A lot of these young guys, Keegan's going to have to shoot better this year for a lot of those stuff to work out. But I don't necessarily love the move. It's just a move.
Okay. And now another move. I kind of want to stay on that trade and go to Barnes. I actually love what the Spurs are doing for Victor Wembanyama, just from an outsider's perspective. As a Mavs fan, it scares me because they're surrounding Wembanyama with talent. I still think Harrison Barnes is good, and they also got Chris Paul. So I'm excited to see what that team looks like. To me, they can only go up because of what they did last year. And you're getting a proven guy in Barnes. I know he is getting older. Same thing with Chris Paul. But I still think they're going to be better starters than relying on young guys. And I think I forgot, or it's just a thing to remember. Greg Popovich is still a great coach, and now he's getting capable starters in addition to young guys growing. So I think the Spurs could be a sneaky team this year.
They still have a lot of pieces I feel like they're missing. Sneaky in the sense that maybe they could make a 10 seed, sure. I'm not confident they could be a top 8 seed, though. I still think they have inherent issues, especially with their bench. You need a deep team. Wemby didn't play that much, and I do think their bench is very much lacking, especially in the point guard position. I don't know necessarily. I'm not confident with Trey Jones if that's going to be their backup or whoever is their backup point guard. If they start, I don't really know how their team's going to look. I'm assuming Sochan does not play point guard minutes anymore. I do like Sochan as a passer, but I don't think he fits the point guard role. They still have a lot of young guys that are still growing, whether it's Keldon or Sochan or obviously Wemby, but Wemby plays like he's a lot older than what he is. I think the Spurs still have issues. I do like this trade for the Spurs, though, because they get a veteran presence that's going to help Keldon, help some of these guys get better in the future. Devin Vassell needs to grow as a player, and I think a combination of these older veteran presences. I don't think this is the year, though. This is not the year I feel like that the Spurs are going to be contending for a playoff spot. I feel like that they are a better team, but I don't think it's necessarily a high bar.
Yeah, and to me, it was just like they hopped in on the trade and got a good player in Barnes. and you mentioned the veteran presence. I also, since our last video, we talked about the Warriors and what they were doing, and they traded for Buddy Hield, and I'm curious they signed in trade. They got Buddy Hield. I'm curious to see because we talked about Buddy Hield in our free agent predictions, and I was wondering how you felt about Buddy Hield joining the Warriors.
I like it. I think that he can be better than Clay was last year, and that's an improvement already. I think that having a shooter right next to Curry really does unlock what he can be as a player. I think it's about those years where Clay was hurt. They weren't that great. Draymond was still relatively healthy. I know Curry missed some games, but those years that Clay was hurt and then Curry with Draymond were hurt or were healthy, they were still like a 9 seed, 8 seed. They can be a top 5 seed if everything goes right. I know I have a couple friends that are very against what the Warriors could be this year, but De'Anthony Melton's a great defender. Buddy could be a Clay type player with a little bit with worse defense, admittedly, but definitely better shooting than what he has been the past couple of years. He will listen. He will sit corner. He will do what you need to do around him. I don't hate this Warriors roster. Again, I could see this Warriors team making the playoffs like they didn't do last year.
Yeah, I felt this is a good replacement for Clay. With the Warriors losing him, and it's cheaper than Clay. And I know the Warriors.
While I think a better player at this point in their careers, I think I would rather have Buddy at this point than Clay.
Yeah, I think he fits more for the Warriors now than Clay did for the Warriors at this point
because he's a better player.
Yeah,
he's not going to take stupid shots and be a bad teammate at times. He'll do what you need a player to do, and that's just sometimes you got to just sit corner the entire game or possession. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock regarding the kind of offensive sets they run. Not many teams run offensive sets like the Warriors do with a lot of movement, but I think Buddy could get used to it, and he'll be a good teammate.
Yeah, I think that's more the attitude and kind of chemistry-wise. I think Clay is no longer what Clay was when they were in 2019, and he's diminished. So he needed a different role, but with the Warriors, he couldn't fit that. So
Clay's not even shooting. Clay and Buddy, basically speaking, shot the same percentage from 3 last year. Buddy shot 38.7, while Clay shot Buddy shot 38.6, while Clay shot 38.7. Basically the same percentages. So at that point, all you really need is just a guy to be a better teammate. Buddy shot better from the field, just barely, 43.6% to Clay's 43.2. They're both great free throw shooters, even though they both really don't take all that many. But it doesn't take all that money. But I think the less points is just because Clay takes a lot more shots. It's not necessarily because he's a better player than Buddy. Buddy was playing with the 76ers, who obviously Joel's going to be taking a lot of shots at those in the games. They have Max, they have other scores. I think Buddy could average 15, 16, 17, 18 points next year, especially if he's giving the Clay role. And when they're that close splits-wise, I think the better player is the one who is the better teammate.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. And you and I are both talking about that, just different ways. I am questioning now to the Pistons. So I just saw they signed Malik Beasley, and the Pistons already have Tim Hardaway Jr. What did Beasley shoot this year from 3? I'm pulling that up now. For Milwaukee, he was a 41 3-point percentage shooter. So I guess they are adding shooting, but to me, Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. are similar players.
I disagree. Malik Beasley was almost started every game from Milwaukee. He never had the fall off that Tim Hardaway did. He was very consistent. Also, Kevin, he's one of the best rebounding 6'4" guys in the league, especially that's not a star player. So you remove star players from it. He almost averaged 4 rebounds per game, Kevin. That's very impressive for a player of his stature. I think that he is definitely a better player than Tim Hardaway and should definitely get more minutes.
Okay. And he's probably a better defender. It's just
Yeah,
offensively.
and his ability to rebound, he's not only a scorer, which Hardaway at this point in his career is.
Yeah.
So the fact that he can rebound again 4 times a night, that adds a lot of value to a player who is around the same height as Tim Hardaway. But he shoots better from 3. He doesn't have those steep fall offs, those games where he's just horrible. He doesn't have that. He has games maybe where he goes 2 for 6 and he's 33%, or even 2 for 7 and it's 2 for 8. But he's not going to have a game where he's just the worst player on the court, obviously. And even when Beasley is shooting bad, he can grab 4, 5, 6, 7 boards in a game. That really makes up for his lack of scoring during a certain game. But he still was a starter for Milwaukee, and one that would have started all year if they were fully healthy as a team, too. I don't think necessarily this is a bad signing at all, and I think that he should definitely start given the right opportunity. If they don't want to start him, I still think he should get many more minutes than Tim Hardaway.
Okay. Gotcha. And now, something I'm interested. Dario Saric, of course, had a great game against Slovenia with the Croatian national team. We talked about him in the Olympics, and he got signed to a 2-year, $10.6 million deal, player option with the Nuggets. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with this deal. I think the Nuggets are lacking depth, and that depth can be solved with rookies getting better because they have a lot of young guys. They've drafted guys. It's just, are they going to pan out as the Nuggets are still competing for a title?
Well,
So,
yeah, they need guys like some of the guys that I thought were going to be really good these upcoming years. Guys like Hunter Tyson, who was on the team last year as a rookie, didn't play much. They need Peyton Watson to play more. A bigger role this upcoming year. He only played 18.6 minutes per night. I think I need him to play 20, 25. Probably not 25, but 22 minutes per night. Reggie Jackson returned, I believe, to the Nuggets, right?
I'm not sure.
I believe he did.
Because could he? Because I know he was traded by the Nuggets, and wouldn't he have to be traded? He would have to be traded again before he gets
that's
back
right.
with the Nuggets.
I don't know if he's still. I highly doubt he stays in Charlotte. I thought I heard someone was probably just telling me that that's what should happen. But Sarge played well last year for the Golden State Warriors. I don't know necessarily if this signing is coming off of the game against Slovenia or if that was just good timing because that's the only time that he could actually negotiate. But it wasn't like Sarge was out of the league. He's still a good player. He shot 38% from 3 last year. The year before that, 39%. He shoots 36% for his career. I do like this move. He could shoot. He's tall. He's 6'10", so you get more size. You could play him with Jokic because he can shoot, because he is around a 38% shooter at this point in his career. And he's an okay rebounder. Just to compare, though, Kevin, he's only averaging 4.4 rebounds per game. Now, it is only in 18 minutes or 20 minutes, so it is still less per 36, or more per 36, but Malik Beasley, again, was averaging 3.7, while Sarge is averaging 4.4. But Sarge, again, less minutes. I think Sarge is a good signing. I think this is helping them on rebounds, helping them on shooting from what they've lost, and could really help make them a deeper team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this pans out. But now we'll go to the Wizards signing Saddiq Bey, and then we'll end it with this one. How do you feel about that?
I don't necessarily love it. I think it is on a cheaper deal, so I'm okay with it. I'm not as mad as I was about the Jonas Valanciunas signing. But I don't think we have a direction. We, meaning the Wizards. I'm concerned about how this team is going to be. It's going to look next year and the year after and the year after. I don't hate it though because he tore his ACL. It's going to be a cheaper deal, and it is. So it's not the worst signing in the world. He gets a chance to prove himself and really allows him to get a foothold in the league again before he hits free agency here in 2 years.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we'll just have to see. And that's all we got. There are, I don't know if there's well, I guess there is not like premier free agents. I am interested in the names like Kyle Lowry. I know he's still on the free agent market. Does he return to the Sixers? And then, yeah. I'll let you. Any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Let us know what you think. Is there a free agent you out there that you want your team to sign or think would fit great with a team? Let us know your thoughts. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.